o'clock. We are at 10 o'clock. So let's start this day. Good morning to all of you and welcome to another edition of our Work Better Club, which is on a topic which is very apt, which is on mastering change management. How do I adapt and evolve and become master in managing whatever change life throws at me, whatever change work throws at me, right? Good morning to everybody. My name is Gautam Gupta, and I'm sure people who have attended earlier Work Better Club sessions are aware about me. But even then, if there are some new members who are part of this club, welcome to all of you. If this is your first session, welcome to this knowledge series and congratulations of joining the Work Better Club. And I'm sure this weekly dose of knowledge and increasing your skills will go a long way in making you a better professional, right? Quick introduction of myself. I'm Gautam Gupta, and I'm a master trainer and head of business development at Work Better Training. And I have overall about 32 years of work experience and 16 years in the training industry. And I'm sure all of you are aware of Work Better, so I don't have to go into the introduction of Work Better, right? Okay, so let me just check how many are we in this Sunday morning. So welcome again to all of you. We have about 16 participants now. Great. So I'm so happy to see that all of you, some of them are, I can see some familiar names, I think, who have become habitual to join on a Saturday evening or a Sunday morning. Especially, I really thank all of you to be able to join at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, which means that all of you take this very seriously and you have made this as a habit. So that's good. Also, it enables you to get up on Sunday morning early and have a good start to the day. It's a nice bright morning in Mumbai, and for all of you who are in Mumbai, I'm sure you are liking this last couple of days of sunshine, and I hope around the country all of you are safe and are healthy. Thank you again for joining this Sunday morning session on mastering change management. Okay, I have somebody on the chat box. Good morning, Palab. Yeah, good morning, and I'm glad to see you on this session. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to talk about mastering change management, right? And what better topic to talk about, rather than this change, because all of us in the last 3-4 months have undergone such a change in our life. Not just our profession, our entire life has been turned upside down. I'm sure all of you agree with me. Since the 25th of March, if I'm correct, or the 24th of March, or maybe the 19th of March, we have undergone a massive change in our entire life, right? And some of us have now been able to adjust to this new lifestyle, or as we call it, the new normal, right? So yeah, it is the new normal, and maybe it is going to be there for many months, if not many years, right? So this COVID-19 situation has really thrown at us something we were never prepared for, something which was never taught in any kind of our studies. But we all have been able to possibly adapt and evolve from this situation. We all have taken our own course. We all have faltered, got up, seen what is working, not working, and hopefully by now we have been able to adopt to this change, right? And so what I'm going to do today is probably some of the things, or I will talk about a certain structured way, a certain way of methodology, which will help you in all future changes, which probably you will have in your life, and especially professional changes, especially which impacts your work, whether you are working as a professional in an organization, whether you're running your own setup, whether you are having your own business, whether you're a startup, right? So it will help you in your entire future in terms of how do we cope up with change, right? If you are a student, if you are a young professional, or not yet started working, doesn't matter. Some of these skills will be relevant to you also. So just hold on and just pay attention, and it will help you to adapt to change and evolve with change that much better, right? Now, before I go on, a quick look at our ground rules. I'm sure the regular participants are aware of these ground rules, but just to quickly go through them, for ease of conducting the session, your cameras and microphones have been disabled because of course, ensuring that all of you listen to me. I have your rapt attention, and there's no confusion about talking over, and of course, especially the network issue which all of us face if we are having the cameras and mics on. So you'll have to listen to me, but please use the chat box extensively, guys. Please write in the chat box, and of course share with me, participate with me, answer my questions and queries, and let's engage in the chat box. I will try to answer all your questions, but we have a dedicated after class, after the session is over, after you're done with the assessment and feedback, we have a dedicated half an hour for an after class, which is nothing but the Q&A session. I'm going to be looking at the Q&A box. So in case you have questions in your mind during the session, my request is go to the Q&A box on your screen and type in your questions there. And at the after class session, I'm going to be taking those questions, right? So that's what we're going to do in terms of interactivity. And please, support this session by ensuring that you participate in the chat box, right? At the end of the session, an assessment link will be shared. And in case you want the digital certificate, please pay attention, because the minimum qualification is 70% for you to get that certificate. So please pay attention. My request is please have your writing pad or your register or your diary at hand, so that you can capture some key notes and of course some key takeaways, right? So that's going to be a few ground rules for us, right? So let me quickly check. Are we all very excited and are really wanting to have a very, very, good session on this Sunday morning? Give me a yes in the chat box. Yeah, give me a yes. And all of us are really, really wanting. Yeah, if somebody can give me a capital yes. Okay, Ganesh. Yeah, the Ganesh is more keen to have this session. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Pratyush. All people are giving me a capital. I'm going to thank them. Oh, Shika, welcome back, Shika. Fancy. Good morning. Yeah, thank you so much, all of you, for giving me that capital yes, and rest of you also. Good. So I'm very kicked, and let's get this, ball rolling. So we're going to talk about change, and I'm sure this is a topic of immense interest to many of us. And we're going to talk about and see how we can handle this topic better. Now, before we go ahead, there's a quick question for all of you. A quick exercise that you all do is to do a little bit of reflection, right? I'm going to pose a very obvious question. The obvious question is, think of a change you've experienced recently or in the past 1 year. I'm sure I know what the answer would be. So COVID is of course one big change, but I would request you to look at other aspects of your life, especially your work life, right? What have been the various major change you've had in the last 1 year or the last 6 months? Okay, apart from the COVID situation or this work from home and the lockdown, I know that's an obvious answer. Apart from that, if you want to say that, great. But apart from that, please take about 30 seconds or 1 minute to think about it, because this is one thing which I'm going to be using as we go along in our discussion, right? So think about a major change you've had, which has been the recent or the last 1 year, right? Please share your answers in the chat box. Yeah, please share your answer in the chat box. Okay, yeah, Pratyush, work from home, role of technology has increased. Yes. Okay, Anand is saying, 1 second, guys. Anand is saying, I think Anand not able to hear me properly. Rest of you, are you able to hear my voice? Is my volume okay? Give me a yes on the chat box, please. Because Anand, I think, is not able to hear me properly. Okay, perfectly audible. So Anand, I think you have to check your audio so that you are able to hear me properly. Okay. So I was getting some answers from everybody. Can you please again go to the chat box and give me an answer about the role change? Okay, Vedant has added learning and upskilling work from home. Yes. Okay, that's one thing which we have seen the change. Okay, work along with family, working with family, working along with family. Digitalization, Shantanu has added. Vinay said awareness on hygiene and cleanliness. Oh yeah, that's one. But I would really look at a change which you were not doing earlier, which you are not doing or have been forced to do. Okay, there is something which Fancy has added. I work in startup and a CA by qualification. Frequent researching in my department and my role. This has resulted me in resigning in from the organization where I was working for 4.4 years, which I didn't want. Oh, that's a big one, Fancy. Yes, that's a big one. Yes, this frequent change which you have experienced has probably made you frustrated, and you have probably decided to quit. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a while. Okay, Pallab has added. Let's see what Pallab is saying. Specializations of skills in gradually becoming the key. Master of one rather than jack of all trades. Okay. Pratyush has added further. our thought process, people started contributing in family. Okay, so I really want you to look at the word change. When I said, what change you've experienced recently, which you were not doing earlier, and which you have been either forced to do now, or you didn't want it, but you had to do it, like what we saw. Okay. Jagat has added change, morning exercise, and more focus on health. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, what else? What else? I have become a barber. Okay, Pratyush has probably looked at a new skill of maybe cutting his own hair and hair of his family members. Okay, Arunima has added a big change, working on a completely new project. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Saira, the importance of social media platforms. Okay. Social media usage has increased, Shikha. Okay. I get that. What else? Pratyush has added further. Biggest change, I joined this course. Wow. Thank you so much, Pratyush. I'm sure you're glad to do that. Devashi's online classes, choosing efficient way to work with safety. Okay. I think there was one chat which I think I missed here from Ganesh. Self-realization, creative and innovative mindset, visualization ability, overall well-being, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Wow. If you have been able to do all that, Ganesh, congratulations to you. Okay. Arunima has added living in a new home right now with different family members. Okay, I'm sure that's a challenge sometimes. Remote managing of the people, Rajesh has added. Aditya has added work together as a team without physically being present together. Yeah, that's another big one. Pratyusha said started reading. Vinay, change in buying patterns. Okay. Pallab has added shift from all media to digital and social media. Absolutely right. Wonderful. Thank you all for that wonderful contribution. So just hold on to these changes. Make a note in your pad because I'm going to ask a further question on this. Right. So whichever one of them, some of you have given many of them, but just underline or highlight one of them, one of those changes, and I'm going to come back to that in a while. And I'm going to ask you a further question about that. Okay. So great. Thank you all for that wonderful contribution. And I'm glad that all of you are wide awake on this Sunday morning. And we have about 27 participants. So very, very happy to see all of you in this Sunday morning. Yeah. So just hold on to that. Let me now share our thoughts about this. Okay. Now, change is something which is what we call as inevitable. Okay. You have often heard this term, right? Change is the only constant, right? चेंज ही एक सबसे बड़ा सत्य है, बदलाव ही सबसे बड़ा सत्य है, right? So yes, we have all heard about this, but what is change, right? So what is change? Now we have also heard of this very famous Mahatma Gandhi quote. Yeah, can somebody give me this Mahatma Gandhi quote quickly? Fastest finger first. Let's see who gives me the quote about what Mahatma Gandhi said about change. Come on, fastest fingers first. Mahatma Gandhi made a very, very famous statement about change. Come on, who can give me this famous quote by Mahatma Gandhi? Be the change you want to see. Pallab, wonderful Pallab. Thank you so much. Yes, Pallab and Aditya, but Pallab wins the fastest finger first. Good. So I will recommend your name for KBC Pallab. Thank you so much for that fastest finger first. Okay. So yeah. So yes. So we have heard this quote. So be the change you want to see. So change is something which you always heard of. Right from our childhood to now, we have always heard about people wanting us to change. But what is change? Let's understand that. What is change? Okay. So change is, okay, change means a difference in the status quo. Change means jo hai, jo tha, are different about it. So what was there in our life, in our working life, in our professional life, what was there, it means a difference in the status quo. That means what was there is not there, or what was there has changed completely. So we have had so many situations of where the status quo has been changed, right? Many of us in our personal life in the last few years have possibly unseen this difference in the status quo. Some of you have probably changed jobs, right? That's the change in the status quo, right? Some of you have graduated from your school and college, okay? That's the change in the status quo. Some of you have got married, okay? That's a huge change in the status quo. Some of you had a child at home. That's the biggest change you can have as a couple, right? So many of you had to change jobs, not because you wanted, because I think it was forced upon you, right? Many of you have changed cities, right? You have gone back to your hometown. right? Many of us have had to undergo this entire thing of not being able to do socializing, meeting friends physically from March till now. It's been 4 months. So that is the difference in the status quo, right? So many of us see this as change. So change means a difference in the status quo. Okay, some of you are also adding to the thing. Let me see what somebody has contributed. Ganpati says you must be changing you wish to see in the world. Yes, of course, Ganpati, we got that. Okay, so that's what is change. Change is also it's a difference in the existing way of being. Now, I think all of us in the last 4 months have this huge change which we have seen in the way of living, the way we have been, right? I think at least in my lifetime, and I have lived quite a bit of this life, I have not been, I've seen the situation where, roads are deserted. Recently, I traveled from Delhi to Mumbai about a month back, less than a month back. A lot of people were telling me not to do so, but I'm like a little bit of an adventurous person. I said, what the hell? I can't stay cooped up. So I decided to travel from Delhi to Mumbai, and it was a different experience altogether. In my 30 years of traveling, especially air travel, I have not traveled the way I traveled. I was feeling so different, right? Right from the check-in to check-out, right from the the flight, wearing those, I was looking like a star trooper of Star Wars movies, where I had to wear all those masks and shields and gloves and sanitizers and all that stuff. So that was a different way of traveling, right? When I landed at Mumbai airport, it was like a ghost airport. There were hardly any people, and Mumbai airport is one of the busiest airports in the world, not just India. So that's the difference, how things have changed, right? In the Mumbai airport, there were only 2 of us who were trying to catch a cab. Unlike where I have to at least wait for half an hour to be able to get my cab. So that's what is the way the things have changed. Our eating habits have changed, our socializing, going out with friends, everything has changed, right? So that has gone the difference in the existing way of being, right? So we all have experienced that in our own way. Change can be positive, right? For example, a promotion. That's again a good positive change, right? Right? Maybe for many of you, getting married is a positive change, right? Or having a child at home is a positive change, right? I don't know how many of you agree with that, but I would probably safely say those are positive changes, right? Getting a new job possibly is a positive change. Or there could be change like negative changes, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, I think there's enough and more said about this. I'll not go too much in. I'm sure all of you in your own way have seen this so-called negative change. Many of you would say, you know what? Actually, this negative change has brought about a lot of positivity also. Yes, the change is always, if I look at change in a positive way, I think all negative changes will also throw up possibilities and positive possibilities. And that's the approach, that's the mindset we are going to be talking today, right? And we're going to talk about change which probably we don't like, change which we are forced to do so, change which we want to bring along, but it is somehow tough to retain that change and go and stay with that change. Now, how do we tackle that is going to be a question we're going to tackle, right? So these are certain examples of what is change, or certain definition of change, right? Okay, now, how do I understand change? It's very important for us to understand change. Yeah, change affects everyone differently. There is no normal way of coping with it. Some of us have coped up with this COVID-19 brilliantly right from day one, right? I would say I've not had a single day of stress from the first day of lockdown. Whereas I know some of our friends who have not gone outside their door also for the last 4 months, right? Because the fear has captured them so much, right? I'm sure the same is there with you, right? Many of us have been very, very afraid of the situation. It's like a doomsday. It's like those Hollywood movies which we see that the world is going to come to an end. So everybody reacts in a different way and copes up in a different way to change, right? So we can't say there is some thumb rule or there is some normal way of coping with it. Yeah, we can look at a structured way of dealing with it, managing it, right? But still there will be a variance of how people react to it. There is no normal way of coping with it, right? But we all know change is an essential element of the world and it must be accepted, right? If change was not something which happened, then probably we all would be still living in those caves, many, many thousands and thousands of years ago, right? because we have changed, because we had decided to change, some we did ourselves voluntarily, some was forced upon us, right? But we still decided to take it up and move forward. So change is an essential element of the world, and it must be accepted, whether we like it or not. Yeah. Now, adapting to change comes down to our attitude. Yogesh, I'll come later. If you have any question, Yogesh, I'll ask you slightly later. Give me some time. I'll come back to you. Right? Adapting to change comes down to our attitude. I think that's the key line which is going to be there throughout this discussion. That what is our attitude towards change? Right? Do I get frozen by change, or do I guess getting frozen by change is the initial reaction? But then how do I cope up with it is what is the next step. So adapting to change comes down to our attitude. What's the attitude toward change, right? Change is an opportunity for self-motivation and innovation. I think that's what many of you probably did. In this last 4 months, because you were forced to stay back at home and work from home, there was a lot of self-motivation, innovation which came up, right? Many of you came up with their own ways of coping up. And of course, you worked with your family, you have been able to cope up, use technology to be able to manage. And some of you took the opportunity to start reading, watch your favorite shows, spend quality time with your family and kids, did a lot of playing of Ludo and Carrom, which was forgotten many, many years back, right? So that has come up, okay? All that was an opportunity which many of you took up. And many of you started cooking also, yeah? And of course, many gentlemen in this group, I'm sure when you have never entered the kitchen, you were forced to do so. And I'm sure many of you discovered that probably you love cooking and you have come up with your own recipes. Yeah. So that's something which many of us took opportunity of. Yeah. So it's an opportunity provided you have the right attitude. Yeah. And we can identify strategies for accepting and implementing change. And that's what we are going to be talking today. There are ways and strategies and possibilities for accepting and implementing and going along with change. It is something which we can all learn, right? So maybe till now, all of us were in our own way grappling with whatever changes we had in our life. And somehow we have been able to manage it and go forward and move forward, right? Today, what we're going to do is probably give you some kind of a simple tool, right? As we always have done in the Work Better Club, we'll give you a simple tool which will probably help you get over and manage your change faster and in a better manner without getting all the stress, right? So that's what is our goal today, that there are ways and strategies for managing and implementing change. Yeah, that's what we're going to be sharing today with you. Yeah. So that is what is change is, and trying to understand change in a slightly better manner. So what is change management then? Change management is nothing but what we are doing right now. We're trying to look at is a discipline that guides us to prepare, equip, and support ourselves to adopt change. Right? It's very important that for organizations and for individuals to be able to do some kind of change management. Right? Whenever the organization wants to restructure the organization or pivot the organization. Now, I think Fancy shared her experience that there were so many changes in the organization which she was not probably able to cope up, and because of which, I think she, decided to quit. Now, I understand that, but remember, all organizations are trying to cope up, right? All the COVID or no COVID, we have had organization changes happening, right? Sometimes it is required. Sometimes the business environment, competition forces us to do that, right? So all organizations undergo a change, right? Whether voluntarily or enforced. So what is change management? It's a discipline that guides us to prepare, equip, and support our people to adopt change, right? I'm sure a lot of HR. I'm sure there are some very senior leaders also in this group. I'm sure you are able to see what I mean by this line, right? A lot of organization leaders have to undergo a change in the organization, and how to do it itself is what we call as change management. A lot of organizations hire external consultants to help them to manage change because somewhere internally they are not able to manage. So it's a discipline. First of all, it's a discipline that guides us to prepare for change, equip people with change skills and knowledge, and a support mechanism which will help us to cope up with the new normal. Yeah? So that's what change management is all about. It It's a structured approach one takes to ensure that changes are thoroughly and smoothly implemented and that the lasting benefits of the change are achieved. So change cannot be a flavor of the month, right? Okay, we went ahead and did this and we are back to our old ways, back to the old normal. No, change management is all about ensuring that it sticks and sticks for good and sticks for a long time. Yeah, that's what it is all about. So it's a structured approach which ensures that changes are thoroughly and smoothly implemented. First of all, understood and then implemented smoothly, and it lasts for a long. That's what is a good change management. So whether it's an organization or whether you as an individual you want to manage the change, I think it applies to all of us as individuals also, right? Change management for us is to prepare ourselves, equip ourselves, and support ourselves to adopt to this new change. And I'm sure many of you have done this in the last 4 months, right? Where someone, and I said, maybe you did not know about a structured approach. You went about doing it the way you saw it best, right? You know, you probably, you in your own way, you prepared yourself, in your own way, you learned about it, in your own way, you did things which failed, some things worked, and that's how you've gone about this change, right? And in your own way, you've tried to motivate and encourage yourself and people around you to be a part of this change, right? Many of us in this last 4 months, at least I have at least twice, have gone that one day which I felt miserable. I'm telling you, I felt miserable. I didn't get up the entire day, right? My mom was worried what happened here. The other day I was happy and chatting and doing the video calls with my friends and family, and the next day I was so sad. So it did, all of us got affected. But then I think, we still came back and we were able to have some kind of support mechanism which helped us to go over this. So change management is about a structured approach, which we will discuss. I'll try to give you a little structure to whatever change you have undergone, are undergoing, or will undergo in the future. Yeah. So this is what is change management. Now, let me go back to your earlier question. Okay, I had asked you, right? Now, important is let's revisit the change you shared at the beginning of the session. Yeah, let's revisit that. I want you to now go back to one of those major changes which you mentioned, and I want you to answer these further questions. The questions are: mention what you had to give up or something you are familiar, comfortable with. Mention what you had to give up. How did you feel about the change when you were probably forced to do so? And was there any resistance? And why did you resist it? Did you resist the change? And why did you resist it? If I can request all of you take about a minute to think about this. Look at one major change, and look at these 3 questions. I want you to think about it and then use the chat box to share your thoughts. What did you have to give up, which was familiar, comfortable with? How did you feel about the change? And did you resist the change? Why did you resist it? Okay, so request you to please use the chat box to share. Also, request all of you, please change your chat mode to all panelists and attendees, guys, because then not everybody is able to share your contribution. Please, in the chat, there are options of everyone or all panelists and attendees. Please change your settings to all panelists and attendees. Yeah, because not everybody can see the answers, right? So I've had some people who are like Ganpati, Pallab. You have please change your settings to all panelists. Sorry, all panelists and attendees. Yeah, so Ganpati, I agree that it's a positive change, but I would want you to go back to the time when this change came up. Was there something you had to let go? Okay, something you had to give up. How did you feel about the change initially? I'm sure later on you were able to cope up and it became positive. How do you feel about the change? And was there any resistance in your mind? May not be actually physically. Was there a resistance? And why was there a resistance? Okay. Pallab has added, give up frequent traveling, still haven't been able to accept it. But the shift from offline to online, I've been able to adopt. I did resist the online world initially. Yes, I think because some of us love to travel. We love to meet people. The whole thrill of traveling, going to the airport, reaching a destination, meeting people there, again coming back to family. That becomes a nice kind of break in your daily routine. Okay, let's look at some other answers. Okay, let me see some other answers. Okay. Yogesh has it changed the way we communicate from physical to virtual. How I coped, I try to find positive ways of virtual and be happy. Resistant to learn bit of technology, yes, from virtual. That was a big change because many of us not very comfortable with technology. Yes, that was the resistance. When I said daily routine, tough, gradual adoption, yes. I think it was very tough to go off that morning when you get up, you change, you take a travel and then you reach office, come back. It became a part of a life. To let go of that routine was a big challenge, and we were not willing to let go. Pratyush said, I have to leave location, initially bad, but adjusted. I don't resist for change intentionally, but yes, people say I resist change. Okay. So maybe you need to look at some of the behaviors we display, Pratyush, which probably you did not realize, but maybe you do. Ganpati said, beginning there's a challenge because routine change. Yes. Jagat says, initially adopting online meeting was very difficult, but now it seems it is part of life now. Absolutely right. We are all grappling with these online meetings, virtual meetings, Zoom meetings, video meetings. All that became a big challenge. Vedant has added, more health cautious, learning and upskilling more, becoming more skillful. Initially, it was difficult, but gradually it becomes adaptable. Okay. Devashish has added, I should travel, trek, and visit to beach. I have to stop due to COVID. Now preparing list to visit different places after situation becomes normal. So collecting information, this motivated me to become a travel blogger. Oh, see, all that collection information has made you look at a possible one more activity which you were probably resisting. Fancy says, I had to give up the comfort zone. I'm in the transition phase of change and feeling scared. Oh, yeah. But I try to convince my mind that change in job is required to boost my confidence and step up in professional life. Yes, initially I resisted because I wanted to become CFO of my existing company. But now this vision, I'm looking for this new organization. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm seeing from all your contribution, okay, Ganesh has added further, unorganized work schedule, now have a organized and structured daily routine, blessed with a change since I and my associates satisfied by work and routine. 3, yes, initial 5 to 6 days I was finding difficult, but now it's very disciplined and transformed. Very good. Okay, so I think what we all, when we all went through this whole process of trying to work from home, trying for this new job, or something new has happened in our family, relocation to back to our hometown, all this, some of that routine, that comfort, that, the place, that was what we had to give up. It was something very familiar, it was comfortable, right? I missed that whole thing about going to office, reaching there by around 9:30, 10 o'clock, having a quick banter with my team, having that first coffee cup, then having the meetings, then client calls, and that lunchtime was so special where we all gathered in our lunchroom and, shared our things, joked, pulled our legs, went back to all that fight with our, various team members, and of course that high five of having a good business deal coming up. And of course, we were a growing organization. And suddenly, from a growing organization, which we're looking at another bumper year for this year, suddenly everything fell flat. Our entire business, which is purely was classroom driven, we were staring at a zero business. So that was very scary, right? That was, we said, oh my God, now what? Will everything now go online? And we were slightly prepared for it, but it was a huge thing to see our business go down by 1/10, right? That was very scary for me also. Yeah, I was initially for the first 1 week, 10 days, I also had this temptation. You know what? I think I'll have to look for alternative employment. I think I'll have to do something different. And I think all the scary things were all the bad things were coming to our mind, right? And we were not willing to accept this. And we were all saying maybe it's a month or two later things will be normal. But it's been 4 months and still are normal, and it's nowhere near normal still. So all this is natural reaction, natural response, right? All of us, like you, like me, all of us have had to, these are all our responses to change, right? And some were able to cope up quickly, some took a little bit time, and some people I know, they're still not reconciled to this whole fact. They're still struggling with this change which has come up. Yeah. Arunima has added, I had to give up my own space, room, comfort zone at home to live here. At first, I was unsure of how I would settle into a new place, new routine. I did not resist, but felt uncomfortable because I think you lost that, your space, your house where you could be in solitude, you could do whatever you want, you did not have to care about others. But suddenly, you had to now be very careful about, ensuring that, you had to be in line with what others around you had to think. So yeah, so that's something which we all had to respond to. You have to give up some independence. You have to give up a style of working. You have to give up going to office. You have to give up the whole rhythm of travel. I love traveling. I used to travel every week, but I suddenly, all my miles are stuck. I can't use my, the miles. So that's how we all have responded to change, which is absolutely normal, guys. Absolutely normal. But the challenge is how fast can you get out of it? How fast can you cope up with it? How fast can you manage that change? I think all of us have been able to do that. All of us have been able to cope up with it. But let's look at in the near future or in the mid future, whenever there's a new change, can I use this tool to be able to cope up? That's the whole idea behind discussing this change, right? Okay, great. So thank you so much for your contribution. Going forward, now, before we talk about a structured, why do people resist change? Why do people resist change? I think quite normal answers. Can I get some answers, some of you? Why do you or why do some of us resist change? Okay, let's have some quick answers on this. Comfort zone, absolutely. I think that's the biggest reason why we become so resistant and we become so stressed out of our change. We are so used to a pattern. Vinay has added, yes, face risk. Pratyush has added insecurity. Yeah, Ganpati has added resources not available. Yeah, what was the normal in our office, now it is not available. Pallab has added, yes, some are fearful of the change. Fear, going out of a comfort zone. Yeah, uncertainty. Aditya has added, yes. Saksham has added, coming out of a comfort zone is very difficult. So comfort zone, fear, all these are the reason. Uncertainty, all these are, we are not prepared. Yes, we are not prepared for change. Yes, nobody has told us how to cope up with this change. Our parents never had this situation. So our friends, our family never had this situation. So they also can't support us. Maybe they are also going through the same thing. So that's why some of us or many of us have seen that we resist change. The current state is considered to be satisfactory. So we are comfort zone. We are there, okay, what was good, let it be like this. We want to hold on to that. And it is the satisfactory state. So that's why we resist change. Lack of awareness of the need for change or how the change will benefit them. That's why nobody has told us the benefit of moving to this new normal, right? We all discovered it on our way. Many of us change jobs. Many of us have to change the role we have in our job. Right? We were doing something earlier. Now the role has changed. I've got a new supervisor. My job description has changed. Right? Now I question why. I was doing well there. Why is the need? Because nobody tells us probably the benefit I will probably get out of this. Right? Of course, we are happy about the promotion, but a lot of us do not fathom or do not gather the responsibility required to be a new leader, to become a people's manager, because we have not been trained in people management. That's why many of us, we have seen examples of great individual performers fail miserable as team leaders, because they were not given the inputs for the change. Okay, I've got some more responses from the chat box. Okay, Pallab is saying we come out of this COVID-19 situation, somehow we shall be masters of change management. I am not too sure about being a master, but we'll be better in our change management for sure. Yes. Nitin has added, achieve our goals and to reach our destiny. I think change is most important in life, and I love changes. Double thumbs up to you, Nitin. If you have that attitude, I think you can log out and enjoy your Sunday. Yeah, because that's what the attitude is all about. And of course, there is fear of the unknown. That's why people resisting, because they are going to a new normal. They're going to uncharted territory. They're going to places where they have never been before. So there is a fear of the unknown and what will happen, right? Because there was no history to it. There is only an uncertain future, and we have never known what is. There's no guidebook of the future. That's why the fear of the unknown. Yeah, and the most important part, probably, which many of us is there at the back of the mind, but we have not been able to say to us, the fear of failure. What if I don't succeed? Right? What if something, I screw up? What if something really, really bad happens? That's the fear of failure, which probably is one of the biggest reasons why people resist change, right? Especially in the corporate world, especially in the work environment, people are very fearful of failure. Yeah. And of course, Ganesh has added, yes, that's the first point, Ganesh, the painful process to change habits, right? The painful process which COVID had, right? We were not used to, helping our spouses in the kitchen, or, going out shopping and going out, doing various chores at home, because the maids were always there. Some of us had multiple maids at home, right? But suddenly that support system, was taken away, and we were helter-skelter for the first 15 days. I'm sure in the houses, there were a lot of arguments and quarrels about who will do what. But then finally, things settle down. Yeah, that's again, where we don't know how to go about it, because there's been no rule book, there's been no guide to that. Great. So that's the reason why sometimes change is not impactful, because people resist change because of various reasons, and some of them are stated here. Okay, now let's look at, yeah, one more thing which I would like to add about why people resist change is there is no reward mechanism to motivate people to stay with the change. So people have a tendency of falling back to the old normal, right? So a lot of people, a lot of organizations, when you are trying to have change, they do not reward people who are really the flag bearers of change. So the absence of reinforcing reward system is sometimes reason for people falling back on old habits, right? Right. So that's why a lot of people resist change, because there is no, in an organization, when you are supportive of change, when you want change, if you don't get some recognition, reward, or some kind of motivation, people tend to fall back. I'm sure many of you have seen this as individuals also, when the lack of reward system to yourself, forced you to go back to your old habits, right? So yeah, Pratyush has already said right. Some organizations resist change. Yes, absolutely. But what is organization? My question is that, Pratyush, what is an organization? Is it the office? Is it the logo? Is it the product? What is an organization? Organization is people, absolutely. So it is not organization that resist change. It is the people in the organization which resist change. And I would say, I would narrow it down. It's a few people in the organization who resist change. It's not the entire organization or everybody, right? So that's what we have to be very careful about. So very important for us to ensure that we are able to have a big impact on change. We should have what we call as a reinforcing and a reward mechanism, right? We have to ensure that there is some kind of recognition which happens to the people who are actually flag bearers of change. Yeah? So that's something which we need to ensure. So that's the reason why people resist change. Yeah. And all successful organizations have a means of a reward and recognition for people who are going about the change. Okay, so that's something about what we call about why do people resist change in the whole change process. Okay, now importance of change management. I don't have to go too much into it. I think by now it's very clear. For an organization, for workplace, it saves the organization time and resources to ensure that change is impacted. It is not very time consuming and doesn't take too much of resource. Helps make the process of change smooth and seamless. If you are having a proper structured change management in place, then it helps the change to happen very smoothly and seamlessly without any trouble. And of course, it reduces the stress and anxiety of every individual in the organization, right from the CEO to the last individual contributor. it reduces the stress and anxiety, right? I think it's the same for you also. As individual also, if you're able to manage the change, it saves you a lot of time and resources. It helps you in the process of change being very smooth and seamless, and it reduces your stress and anxiety also. Yeah. So whether you're individual or an organization, it's the same thing. Okay. So now let's go into trying to understand how to manage change effectively. Okay, I have been speaking about it, and here is the model. Here is the structured model which we're going to talk about for the next probably 45 minutes. Okay, we call this as the ADKAR model. It's an acronym, ADKAR. Easy to remember, the ADKAR model. Okay, there's someone who is wanting to contribute something. Okay, Pratyush has added, I will share my experience when I joined my first company, Marico. Marico management always open for change. In change process management, help all employees to accept change with carrot and stick method, and it was successful. Yes. Thank you so much, Pratyush, for sharing that example. Absolutely right. So, a lot of organizations constantly reinvent and change themselves after 3 to 5 years. Not because anybody asked them to, not because competition forced them to, but they felt that for them to reach the next level, they themselves have to undergo an organic change. And that's probably Marico is one example of that. And they set about a proper change management system with committees and with individuals responsible. And as rightly said by Pratyush, they have a carrot and stick method to ensure that it is sticks and it is successful. Yeah. Yeah, I would say more of carrot, less of stick, which helps every individual to cope up and come up with a desired change level. Thank you so much, Pratyush, for sharing that Marico example. Okay, so we're going to talk about the ADKAR model, ADKAR, the ADKAR model. It is going to be, and going forward, if you can keep into mind this model, it will help you to cope up and manage change, especially at the workplace if you can, or individually if you're going to be having some kind of change. I think this will also be applicable for individual change also. Something which is going to happen significantly in your life. Okay. Great. Okay, so before I go into this ADKAR model, I'm going to give you a small caselet here. Okay, my request is go through this caselet, read this situation, and give me your responses that how do you think Rajiv should respond in this particular situation. Okay, Raj, and this caselet I'm going to continue to use for the next 40 minutes. And when we discuss the ADKAR model, I'm going to keep coming back and referring to this caselet. So my request is read through this, understand it, and give me a response that how should Rajiv respond by using the chat box. Okay, I've got one response from Fancy. Okay, I'll just wait for others. Okay, Jagat and Fancy. Fancy saying he should take it as a challenge and then, okay, one second, Fancy. He should take it as a challenge and an opportunity to learn new things, and when he has his outlook, he shall be able to cope with new team. Okay. Jagat is saying, so looking at current scenario, he has to learn about the new role and cope up with new team. Okay. Pallab has added, if I would have been Rajiv, I would have not accepted this change and seek the opportunity elsewhere, as I'm sure not to change my specialization and functional role. Okay, that's one thought, Pallab. Okay. Sairaj has added, change is the only constant in life. He needs to learn quickly and try to master his new role. Okay, fair enough. Can I get some responses from others also? That, okay. Remember, it's a situation, okay, I've got answer from Ganpati. He can change easily because both the cases he has skill of moving with people. Only thing he has changed is learn product knowledge. Okay, that's a good way of putting it, Ganpati. Okay, that's a good positive way of putting it, Ganpati. Thank you so much. Vinay has added, understand expectations of role, ask for, okay, one second guys, a lot of contribution coming in. Let me just, Sairaj, Ganpati, he can, okay, Vinay said, okay. Ganesh is saying Rajiv need to be cognitive, flexible in a new change and start working on new roles and responsibilities with proper guidance and coaching from mentors. Okay, that's one more addition. Satish has added now the status quo but change, need understand next 5-year plan. If it suits, need to adopt the change. Okay. What else? Shantanu is added, it will be difficult for him to cope up with the sales term, then he need to understand all the sales thing. So it will be quite difficult practically, so he needs to have patience, as if even social media work is also to improve ROI of business. Okay. Pratyush is added, big transition. If he's willing to accept new domain, then he should, otherwise he should go for job change. Okay, great. Okay. So fair enough. So I'm okay. There is one more thing which I think Naveen is adding. Let's see what Naval has added. As change is the rule of life, everyone has to prepare for anything according to the situation. Anything new always give new experience and new learning. So we need to be ready for anything at any time. Okay. Ganesh has added, Rajiv did not fear about the change since it's a blessing for him during COVID-19. Okay. So yes. So maybe let's look at this situation, and I'm going to come back to the situation once we start discussing each element of the ADKAR model. So I'm glad that all of you have given your opinion, and I'm okay with some of you who said Pallab, and some of you have said that what, Rajiv should just quit because this is not his expertise. So there's no point struggling with something. Now, given the current situation, given the current job market, given the current COVID situation where hiring is at all-time low, so maybe there is probably, as of now, there is no way out. And maybe given the kind of company he's working in, he's a training company, and given the current situation where a lot of training companies will have to go through this tough time of reduced business, and Rajiv being a social media manager, there is probably a very less need of that particular profile, a more need for a business development person, or the organizations trying to offer in that, instead of opting out, whether you can, looking at his strength, whether he can, cope up in a new role. So all this is conjuncture, all this is assumption. So we'll go with this assumption and look at it where, how if Rajiv has no choice, or he doesn't want to quit currently because of job situation, then can he cope up, and can we see the ADKAR model which can work for him? Yeah. So thank you for your responses. Hold on to your thoughts. Let's discuss the ADKAR model. So the first part of the ADKAR model, and I've just shared all of you, is awareness for the need for change. That why do I need to change? Okay. First thing when you're trying to respond to a change is first understanding the change in a proper manner. Yeah. Why is it required? Why is it happening? Right. Second is the desire to support and participate in the change. Now that's your choice. You can decide to be part and support and participate in the change, or you can say, no, I will give up. I don't think so. I want to be part of this, and get out. But many a times getting out is not an option, or not the right option. So it's important, the desire to support and participate in the change, right? So the need to participate in the change is something. So first awareness, and then being part of the change, participate in the change, right? That's our choice. Third is, okay, I want to be part of this change. I want to undergo this change, but I need to know how. The knowledge about how to change. Can I learn something? Can I look at the process? Can I learn something which will help me to understand the change better and help me to cope up and do the change? So knowledge about how to change is another aspect of the ADKAR model, right? Then is again an A, then the actual action plan. The turning that knowledge into actual action. Ability to implement the change, not just sit on the fence and say, let's like jumping into the pool. You will have to jump into the pool because there is no option now. So you have become aware, you want to be part of the change, you have added some skills or you have understood looked at certain process and knowledge, and now you're actually going about doing it. So turning knowledge into action. And of course, the last part is, as I said earlier, the reinforcement and to sustain the change. We all need that motivation for helping us stay with the change, right? And that's what we call as celebrating success. So that's the ADKAR model. Yeah, let's do a deep dive into each one of these steps. The first is, as I said, awareness of the need for change, right? Awareness for the need for change, right? Now, it's very important whether there's an organizational change, whether there is a change of your role, there's a change in the team, there's a supervisor who's has come up, your old boss has changed and you have to now work with a new boss, whether there's a change in the market, whether you work from home, your business has got changed, you have to use technology, you are no longer able to meet people physically, right? You have so many things happening at the workspace, right? Many of you are students currently. You had to undergo a change of learning through using technology. You had to learn through technology. There was no way out because that's the only way out now, where you have to actually, learn through Zoom classes and, Team and Google Meets and all that. I know a lot of men in my family also. I've had my son who is now, initially he was saying, what the hell? Because the whole charm of going to campus, traveling to campus, having that banter with, friends, then attending colleges, having that thrill of bunking classes, and then of course cafeteria, a game of cricket or football, and then traveling back, sometimes not coming back home early, going and catching a movie with a friend. That was all part of campus. Now suddenly all that has been taken away. And now he has to get up and attend classes and meet his friends online. The whole fun of going to campus is gone. So understanding the change of nature and why it is needed. So it's very important that we educate ourselves about the need for change. Right? It's very important whether you're working in an organization or you are trying to cope up with this COVID-19 situation and working from home. So we need to all educate ourselves about the need for change. Right? The need for change could be many. Right? The need for change could be forced by the COVID-19 situation, or the need for change, as we saw in the example of Marico, where organization every few years, change, because either you change or somebody will force you to change. It's better for you to change yourself, right? It's always good idea to reinforce it. So whenever there is a new change being enforced, we need to educate ourselves about the need for that change. Why is this new role important? Right? Then secondly, openly speak to superiors, trusted colleagues and friends to understand the need for change better. Right? If you're not getting a clarity, go to someone in the organization, whether it is HR, whether it is your boss, whether it's some senior colleague who has a better understanding to understand why it is needed. And once you understand the nature of change, why it's necessary, it becomes easier for you to accept it. Right? That initial resistance and acceptance and why, that needs to get answered by you knowing why. If you don't know, if you can't know it yourself, then please go out and talk to people who can help you to know the why, whether it is inside the organization or outside the organization, right? That is why it's important for you. So now, how do you tell a student who is probably in the third year of college that why do you have to work through this method? So I'm sure there are ways to tell him or her that given the health challenge, given that, getting people together in a classroom of 40, 50, 60 students where the virus can spread fast and all of us can become carriers and it can lead to further thing. So that's the health reason why, right? And of course, the other reason that, okay, that's one, but why can't we not have any classes? So all that we tell him or her why. So unless we understand the why, then we will not have an issue. It's important to know the why of every change. Yeah. So that's one thing about the A. Okay. Now let's go back to the caselet. Right. Now let's understand in this situation where Rajiv has been asked to go to sales. Now, how do we answer this? What should Rajiv do to practice the first step, which is understanding the why? Yeah. Can I get some answers from here? So what could be a possible answer? If you were the HR or if you were the boss. Okay. Yes, Pallab, I understand that. But my question is, now what should Rajiv do in this case? Rajiv should probably go to his first boss who was, where he was handling that social media marketing. Maybe go to him or her and ask him, why is this change? Right? Or go to the new boss and ask him or her, okay, why this change? Why did you get me to business development? Right? Why couldn't I continue as a social media marketing person? So that's the answer which he needs to seek. I'm sure there are some answers which he already knows. That given the current situation of the business environment as a training organization, our business is not happening so much. That he probably understands. But to get a clarity more and better get a more assurance and better get the reasons, I think he has to speak to both his bosses. Someone who was handling the marketing and someone now who handles the sales and business development. And that's where he will probably get a clarity. Okay, I've got some answers from you in the chat box. Let's see what answers I've got. So Arunima has added, probably understands the reason for why he's been put in the sales role. Okay. Pallab has added, sales is down, so BD is being strengthened and training space seems to be a potential need in the market. Okay. So maybe right now, given that kind of business we have to realign and restructure team members. We don't right now need people in non-core areas. And anyway, business development is a core area. We have to still go and chase business. That is why we're putting all our good resources into the business. And we've identified people who are capable of doing business development. And one of them is Rajiv. Because of his probably working with team members, his ability to communicate, his understanding of marketing, his ability to communicate with external stakeholders, all that gives us the confidence and tells him that it gives us the confidence that you probably will be able to do well here also. Ganesh has added, Rajiv need to be aware, understand why he is being considered for sales. Yes. So I gave you those reasons. Maybe his communication skills, his probably the product knowledge, since he was already doing social media marketing, his ability to handle situations, and of course, manage internal and external partners. The internal stakeholders he has to manage and manage external vendors and partners also for social media marketing. Given all these strengths, he is probably the right candidate to go and do a transition to business development. Okay, so that's possibly is the possible when we say the A part of the ADKAR model, where he will probably, so that's what is the awareness. Rajiv needs to be made aware, okay, of why this change is needed. Okay, now once he understands that, now Rajiv has to now himself have the desire to support and participate in the change. Right? He needs to now make a choice. Given the current job situation, given the organizational need, and given his capabilities. Now, it is his choice, a desire to support and participate in this change, or as I think Pallab said, okay, this is not my cup of tea. I can't be managing the situation of the organization. I think I want to stick to social media marketing. I don't think so. I want to have a career. Even if I do it for short term, it's my choice to opt out of the change. But given that maybe that's not a good choice, given the job market situation, so maybe he decides to be part of it and go along with this argument given by his seniors. So what does he do? There's a greater desire to participate in the change. After the way in which you alter the way in which you perceive the change. Be flexible and embracing of change. Right? Don't be fearful of it. Yes, even though I'm compromising, I'm saying, okay, I can't be looking for a job in this situation, but I will do half-heartedly. That's again a very poor choice. I will still keep looking for a job and still try to cope up with it. That's not going to really take us. You have to give your complete part. Of course, initially there will be fear. I need to be getting out of the fear. Replace fear with positive thoughts. Adapt an attitude of anticipation and excitement. Okay, great. This is something new. I've never done this. Okay, let me see what can I do. Let me prove to myself. Do I have it in me? So develop a sense of belonging towards the organization vision. Recognize how the change brings you one step closer. So maybe I did social media marketing. Now it's an idea. Now I'm on a different platform of trying to talk about my product and services to end customers. So let me get. I need to become excited about it. I need to get involved. Yeah. Once you perceive a change will bring about progress, you need to understand that you will only benefit participate in the process of change. You need to, Rajiv needs to tell himself, right, that I need to really now give it the full shot, right? And given the current scenario, I don't think so, working half-heartedly, working with negativity, I have been forced to do this, this is an advantage being taken by the organization, this is not done, blah, blah, blah. If that's what's going to go into your mind, then naturally you will get impacted by this and you will not be able to give it full. But once you have decided positively, there will be certain concerns and ways of going about it. You will still be a little fearful of whether you will succeed or not. That's okay. As long as you have said, okay, I want to be part of this change, then we see how to give you the necessary confidence in ensuring that you can cope up with the change. Yeah. Okay, so what do we have in the chat box? Okay, Ganpati said, I have one question. If it is location change, I can't change the location due to personal issue. If management doesn't understand what we have to do. Okay, good question. Ganpati, is it okay that I answer this at the after class, if that's okay with you? Yeah, I'll take up this question. Please put it in the question box, Q&A box, and I will take up this question later. Okay, so now we are assuming, and that's what we are saying, that now Rajiv has a choice in front of him. As Pallab said, he can opt out and look for a job. Fair enough. That's a fair deal. But given the current situation where jobs are less, companies are not hiring, there's going to be a lot of pressure. There's a lot of downsizing happening. People are losing jobs. He has checked out with his friends. He's spoken to his family. A lot of his peers who are in social media have lost their jobs. Now, does this situation, can he afford to do that? If the answer is no, then he might as well become part of it. Right? He might as well then understand that he has to give it 100%. Yeah, he doesn't have the skills. I understand that. But first of all, he has to make up his mind here. He has to make a choice. And a choice of giving it 100%. A choice of participating in this change completely. A choice of giving it his best shot. That's the choice he has to make. Once he does that, then we go to the next step of now, what does he have to do? How can we support him to be able to get some skills? Yeah. Are we so far so good, guys? Can I get a yes? Are we able to understand the first two steps of the ADKAR model? Yeah. First is the why, and second is the full involvement. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yes, Saksham, in case there's a question, Saksham, please put it in the question Q&A box. I will answer that later. Okay, so if you've understood the first two critical parts, okay, very important that we get through these two parts, then it becomes a matter of gaining confidence as we go along. Yeah. Next step which Rajiv has to do is to gather knowledge about how to change. Right? This is again, now that the big hurdle is over, I've become aware and I've made a choice to be part of this change. That's the first big hurdle is over. Now he's in a much better space to now seek out knowledge about how to change. What is it that he has to learn about the new role? Right? That's something which he will probably now do. Okay. So whenever you're undergoing a change, first thing is to be able to know why. And the second is that if there is no option, then you might as well go whole hog into it. Make a choice to be part of it completely. That's the first two critical steps, right? Because a lot of times we are not able to participate in it because I have not done the first step. I have not understood the why. Because it's a 50 people, I don't have clarity. And that's why I'm not part of it. So get clarity and then give yourself completely into that change. That will help you to go and manage this change better. right? So third step is the K, develop your knowledge about the change process. Gather knowledge about the entire process, ask as many questions as needed to understand how to change. Yeah. Identify the specific skills required which need to be honed and developed and start working on them. And chalk out small milestones for yourself. Right? Now, given that Rajiv has to now get into the BD role, obviously he will have to now gather knowledge about the customers, what is the product, what is the process, maybe attend some sales related classes, attend certain webinars, speak to some of his colleagues in the BD team, probably accompany them for certain, calls and virtual sessions, attend certain sales sessions. That's how he will be able to gather the information. Right? So identify what is it required for me to now start doing this function. Yeah, and keep some milestones. Okay, in the first 15 days, I will do this. In the next 15 days, I will do this. In the next 15 days, and of course, work very closely with your supervisor. Ask him for inputs. Ask her that what is it that will help me to be able to do a good job in this. Provided you're giving it 100%, provided you're willing to ensure that you are going to be successful in this new thing. If you're going to be doing it half-heartedly, then believe me, it will fall flat. Yeah. So you need to say, I'm going to give it the full shot. I'm going to go whole hog with it. Now, what do I need to do it? And that's where you go about sincerely acquiring the knowledge, inputs, information, and support of your manager. And that's when you will get the support of your manager, when they see that you are really into it and here is what we can do to help. Yeah? That's the third stage of our ADKAR model of identifying the specific skills which need to be honed and developed. Yeah. So what will Rajiv do? Okay. So as I already said, he will probably attend some sales related classes. He will probably talk to his seniors. He will talk to his peers in the BD team. He will attend certain calls. He will, go and, make some, be part of certain support calls, acquire all the product information, know about the pricing strategy, okay, know what has succeeded and what has failed in the past, gather all this. Because, of course, there's nothing better than actually, that's the next step of actually making those sales calls. But he will prepare himself for his first sales call. Right? This is part of preparation. This is part of knowledge gathering. Yeah. So that's what Rajiv will do in the third part. The fourth part is actually doing it, which is ability to implement the change. Right? Ability to start what you have given yourself 100%. So you understood why you need to change. You have committed to the change. Then you acquired knowledge. What is required for me to do? Yeah. So gather as much which will help you to be part of the change or implement the change. And the fourth step is actually going about implementing the change. Implementing what you are supposed to do. Yeah. Ability to implement change and go into an action plan. Yeah. Now, for actually carrying out the change, seek support and feedback. Constantly have an open dialogue with friends and colleagues throughout the change process, right? Have regular catch up with others to see how you're going about, right? Track your progress based on the milestone you set for yourself, right? When you have made that first few calls, record them and analyze the recording by yourself, right? When share those sales recordings. If I was Rajiv, share those sales recordings with your seniors, with your colleagues, and ask for a very honest feedback. Right? Take some assessment tests about your product knowledge and process knowledge. See what your scores are. So that's actually going about implementation, establishing a sense of accountability and ownership towards your work. Right? As I said, committing yourself. It's about I know how to. I have seen a lot of YouTube videos on how to do squats and how to do push-ups. I have the knowledge. I've seen enough and more videos of experts, of friends, of the best. Right? I have bought my yoga mat. I've seen enough. But acquiring knowledge and actually doing it, there's a whole world of difference. Yeah. So I can gather all the knowledge, but unless I do it, unless I see the cracks and the pains and the strains, I will not be able to really see the benefit. I will not be part of the change. I will go through pain. My knees will hurt. My hand will hurt. I will have this, chuck it. I think it's not worth it. I will go through that pain. But there is where you have to put milestone to your progress. Where you say, okay, first day, I will just do probably 5 push-ups, right? Because I put that as a milestone. After 5 days, I will progress to 10 push-ups, right? And that's the sense of accountability and ownership I'll start getting. Similarly, for your work, okay, if I was Rajiv, then what will I do? Can somebody give me inputs on now how would Rajiv go about practicing the 4th step? Yeah? He has to get into action now. Now, what do you think Rajiv should do? Yeah, anybody? How does he now get into action? Yeah, he's understood why. He has committed himself. He has made a choice. Now, he's gone about acquiring knowledge. But the key part is actually putting it into action. Which means that he can't sit in the fence anymore. He has to make a small start. Very well said, Yogesh. So, he might have been given some list of accounts or some clients. He will have to start making those calls. Pick up the phone and say, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'm Rajiv from so-and-so company, and here I'm here to talk to you about how we can support you in your trading season. Okay. Yes, by having a goal for a week, Rajiv needs to focus on his strengths, stay motivated, and start step-by-step approach. Yes. Palab, seek the support and feedback with colleagues already in PD and make a small start. Very well said. Ganpati says first meeting with his group. Yes. Get to see how they operate. Right? Be part of some joint calls. Make those calls where you have a colleague, joining you. Get support from the team. Rightly said. Absolutely. So this is one example I'm giving you guys. Some of you are in different functions. Some of you are in HR, some of you are in finance, some of you are in marketing, some of you are in manufacturing, operation, some of you are in startup. You're having your own business, your own profession. I think what I'm talking about, Rajiv, is applicable to all of you, right? It is absolutely true, the Rajiv in you. You could be Rajiv in your function. You could be Rajiv undergoing this change, which was probably not wanted by you, but has been forced because of a particular situation. And the organization has decided to move you. You are the Rajiv in your organization, in your function, right? So that's what I'm saying. Now, some of you are not working. You are individuals, right? Some of you are probably still studying. Some of you are not started working. And I think the same thing applies. You could be a Rajiv who's trying to undergo a change which is being brought about, right? Whether it's for relocating to a new location, whether starting a new course, whether working from home, whether studying at home. There could be many reasons why a change is there around you, right? So you also have to understand the why of that change. Put yourself that there is no option. I have to be part of this change. I have to commit myself to it. Make a choice and start gathering knowledge about that. How would I cope up with this change? Now, just don't go headlong into that change. Gather information from friends, colleagues, online, offline, and then start. Don't sit on the fence. Go into it. You will not succeed, I agree, but then put some milestone of small achievements, small progress. And then, of course, the last one is rewarding yourself. Okay, I've got some thoughts in the chat box. Let's see what people have to say. Okay, Pratyush, you can do it in presence of senior or colleague. Yes. Yogesh, join call with your boss to actually experience how sales calls happen. Yes. Either the boss or a colleague. Next, he has to build a plan for implementation. Yes. So he probably will be given a target, and in the first 15 days, there is no target, just has to get experience of calling. So he should focus on making his calling better, because there is no target here right now. Right now, it's about polishing his pitch. So he should focus on that milestone where he should aggressively pitch more to his prospective client. Share those with his boss and colleagues. Get input whether the pitch is perfect or not. And then he should go, okay, now I will go. He should plan his target where he will probably focus on number of contacts made, probably, how much business he will get in the next 1 month. And take it small and build it up. So that's how he will get into the action. Yeah, and of course, Jagat has said, get the knowledge of the product and process. Yes. So that's how he will probably get into action. Okay. So that's the A part of our, where actually he goes into the ability to execute and implement the change, right? Then of course, human beings have a very, very huge behavior of going back to old habits. I think that's a human psychology, and many of you have had this challenge of whenever we have tried to work on our well-being, our health, our physical exercise, and all of us have struggled. It is said, no, if you don't do anything for 21 days, it will not become a habit. You'll go back to your old habit. Yeah. So reinforcement is very important, and reinforcement by way of a reward mechanism is very important for us to sustain the change, right? How many of you had this problem? I've had twice in the last decade where I've actually thought of going to the gym and really working on my physical exercise, and within 10 days I've gone back to my old self. How many of you had this pushback? Honest admission, guys, come on. That you started something new, and within a few days, very energetic start, you know what the benefit is, you started doing it, but you went back within 10 days. Nitin, okay. Ganesh, fancy, yes. Can you tell me what was that which you had started and you could not go beyond 21 days? Because as it is said, if you go beyond 21 days, it will become a habit for you. Okay, Saksham, give me an example. Nitin, Ganesh, fancy, Saksham, was it about health? In my school days, typewriting class went back, okay. Early morning meditation, yes, fancy. Done yoga for some time. Jagat, not now, okay. Shantanu, gym, yes. I think we all have paid some good amount of money to the gym and still Ganesh says morning walk. Pallav said this is a huge problem. Last 4 months have been very challenging. I could go beyond 7 days, health, day schedule, etc. Yeah, big problem, yes. Physical exercise, daily practice. Yeah. One thing which I have been able to manage now after years and years of trying is to at least have my daily walk. I wouldn't say morning walk, a daily walk. Earlier it was morning, but because of this COVID situation, I felt evening I have time. I no longer have to travel and all that. I'm in a better space. So after I end my day, I am able to do that 45 minutes of walk. So that I have been able to manage. Okay, Pratyusha said, I left one company after shifting to new profile within 4 months. Okay, so maybe it was you did not commit to it. That's why you were not able to go forward. Okay. Okay. Nitin said, I was going for morning walk before lockdown, but now I'm not going. Maybe you are now sleeping more. Yeah. So all of this is what we call is our pushback. Human beings are wired. Our brains are wired to go the known and the easy path, right? And the known and the when we try to change that, our brains are trying to, it's all neural networks, right? They're trying to form this network. And if you don't keep at it for certain days, the network will not form, that habit will not form. And if it is not formed, it's very easy for the brain to switch to the old, highway, right? The new highway is still not got built, but you have gone back to the old highway, right? For whatever reasons. So it's very important for us to reinforce and to sustain the challenge. Right. So how do we do that? Practice reinforcement to keep the change in place. When the stage is not in place, we may use workaround to rely on old systems and habits. We'll find ourselves longing for how things used to be. Right? Now, we all know that this COVID-19 is not going anywhere for at least for 6 months to 1 year till the vaccine is out. So we all are, looking at those like memories of our work, traveling, that traffic has become such a nice thing to remember. Oh, that a lot of things we used to do in that traffic, traveling. A lot of people in Mumbai travel by train. So that was a whole experience by itself. Coming back home, there was a routine to it. We all wish for that things to come back. So that's one reason why possibly we are not able to, reinforce, and we tend to go back to our old habits. It's very important that we have reinforcement mechanism. So a lot of organizations do that. They have what they call as reward mechanism. They have champions of change, and they really have, give them some recognition. They put some special designation, and they have people a reward system to who are the champions of change. Similarly, each one of us also have to give ourselves some kind of reward and reinforcement. So reward yourself every time you cross a milestone. right? Write down and reflect over the positives that have come from this change, right? Incorporate stress relieving activities into your routine. So it's very important for us to be able to ensure that we don't go back to our old habits. And for that, I need to move on. I need to move forward, push forward, even though my body and my brain is pushing back. I need to really push back. And that's where those milestones are a good way to make us move forward and feel happy about it. If you have been able to put some smart goals, and we have discussed this in earlier classes, if I'm able to break down my goals into small milestones, and I go over one milestone, I feel very happy and elated. And that's where I get motivated to continue, because I can go for the next milestone. That way we need to push ahead, and that's a good way to take change, be part of change, and push forward in that change. So that's very important for us to keep those milestones, and as soon as you achieve those milestones, reward yourself, and so that will motivate you to go forward, right? Sometimes you can take help of people who can be your reinforcement mechanism, right? That they will help you to get motivated, they will give you the recognition, and they will help you to move forward, right? A lot of us, I've been seeing a lot of my friends and family, they have gone through an exercise regime, and every 15 days they post their the latest pictures of their physical well-being, and they get a lot of likes and a lot of congratulations, and that possibly is making them go forward, because that's a kind of a ratification and a reinforcement of a good job being done, right? So that's how you get your reinforcement recognition. Okay, so how should Rajiv now do this? How will Rajiv do to ensure that he gets his reinforcement? Yeah, can I get some answers here? So that Rajiv does not fall back in his old habit, he does not discourage. I was better off doing social media marketing. This video is not for me. How should he not fall back, right? Yeah, any answers to this? How do you think can we relate this last point of reinforcement to ensure that Rajiv does not get discouraged? Okay, previous slide for 1 minute. Okay. Okay, Ganpati is adding, learn knowledge on sales, move to a new position, regular achievements in sales process. Okay. Set milestone and rate against it. Yes. So that way Rajiv will be able to say, okay, my first 15 days was about making the right pitch call. So now once you get a feedback from your boss and your colleague that, okay, now you are ready. That means I have been able to go through the first milestone of getting a proper business pitch with the clients. Second milestone could be my feedback on my actual interaction when I'm going to pitch a particular thing. So that could be a second milestone. Third milestone could be, okay, there's a small business number I had to achieve. If I achieve that, that's again a reinforcement. Yeah. Yeah. Rajiv should share his initial achievement, however small. Yes. Right. And when he gets feedback on that, that would be a good way for him to keep moving ahead, because he will feel good about it. Yes. Okay. I think I'm getting the process right. I think I'm progressing well. I think this is good. And that's where he will keep getting encouraged to move forward. Yeah. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. Okay. So that's what was the ADKAR model. Okay. Can somebody please summarize? Give me all the 5 acronyms for ADKAR. In your own way, if you can probably give me a summary of all the 5 stages, ADKAR. You need not use the actual word. Just give me in one word, what does each stage mean? Okay, awareness, Pratyusha said. Okay, a desire or a choice to be part of this change. Good, Pratyush. Okay, why? Commitment, knowledge, implement. Ganpati, what is the 5th one? Knowledge, awareness, understanding. Okay, reinforcement. Right. Okay, good. Saksham, Ganpati, Ganesh. Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. Right? Now, don't remember these by these words. Understand what these words mean. It's very important to go behind these words. Understand what they mean in managing the change. Whether you are managing an individual change, whether you are part of an organizational change, any change which you are going to have in the near future, I think this will help you to really manage this change. I'm not saying that you will not have that fear. I'm not saying that you will not push back, but this will reduce and make you cope up better, and will able for and will help you to manage that change better. So this is a structured way to go about any change you will see in your future. And this you can probably share with your family and friends also, and it will help you to help them to cope up with the entire change. Yeah. Yes, Jagat has said reward is the most effective for the change to actually, which is make it institutionalizes, make it concrete by having a reward mechanism. Absolutely right. So a lot of us, don't have a reward mechanism to reinforce, and that's why we go back in our change, and it's not going to be effective. Great. So that's the ADKAR model of our change management. And I will end our session with this very, very important quote, which is said by Charles Darwin. I think many of us know this. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one which has been most responsive to change. Right? And I think as Homo sapiens, as human beings, I think we have come up as we call as the survival chain, where we have become the most superior, so-called superior species of this Mother Earth, is because of our ability to change. Yes, Pallab, of course, we should also recognize others who are trying to change and give them support to help them to change. Yeah. And if you are, so Pallab, that's a good point you have raised. If you are initiating change, if you see someone wanting to change but is struggling with change, maybe use this ADKAR model with him or her. Right? Support and recognize them also, and this will help them to go over the change. Yeah. Okay. Great. So that's